Hello, good evening and welcome to Business Live. Coming up in this edition, more oil marketing companies increase prices of petroleum products at the pumps as they respond to rising costs of operations and the cedi's depreciation. Also in this bulletin, government, organized labor and employers commence discussions towards determination of minimum wage for this year. Also in this bulletin, Ghana Statistical Service undertakes survey to assess phase 2 of the Planting for Food and Jobs initiative.
You know that agriculture employs more people in Ghana than all the other sectors. So this information that we are going to collect is very, very important.
As news coming in, the first Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Maxwell Opoku-Afari, proceeds on leave tomorrow. We shall be telling you more subsequently. We've got details of these and more for you. Please do stay. I am Pius Kojo Bakai. Look now at our stories. We understand the first Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Maxwell Opoku-Afari, has proceeded on leave, and we understand that would take effect from tomorrow. A statement released by the Bank of Ghana says so. Let's bring you that statement right there on your screens now. And it reads, Bank of Ghana first Deputy Governor proceeds on leave. The public is hereby informed that Dr. Maxwell Opoku-Afari, the current first Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, has decided to proceed on leave from February 5, 2025, which of course is tomorrow, prior to the end of his contract. Now, this has received the approval of His Excellency President John Mahama. Now, Dr. Opoku-Afari was appointed on August 7, 2017 for his first 4-year term as the first Deputy Governor and reappointed for a second term on August 7, 2021. In line with the Bank of Ghana Act 2002, Act 612, as amended, his tenure as first Deputy Governor ends on August 6, 2025, after successfully serving 2 full terms as allowed under the Act. The Bank of Ghana thanks Dr. Maxwell Opoku-Afari for his service to the bank and the Republic and wishes him well in his future endeavors. And this is the communication from the Bank of Ghana. And to some other stories, more oil marketing firms are increasing prices of petroleum products at the pumps. Market leader Govt is the latest after Shell went up this morning, selling a litre around the 16 Ghana cedis range. George Yafe has more.
Govt is now selling a litre of petrol at 15 Ghana cedis, 85 pesos. This represents more than 5% increase compared to their quotes some 2 weeks ago at their various service stations in the country. Diesel, on the other hand, has gone up by 2.5% and is selling this morning at 15 Ghana cedis, 99 pesos. The move by Govt could influence other oil marketing companies in terms of their margin of increase at the pumps from today. Shell also went up this morning and is selling within the 16 Ghana cedis range for a litre of petrol and diesel. The increase has been linked to rising prices of crude and finished petroleum products on the international market and the current depreciation of the cedi against the US dollar. The price of LPG has also gone up 5% per kilogram. This is the third time this year that we have witnessed such significant increase in the price of that product on the market.
I want to stay a while longer within the space because oil exploration firm Tullow Oil has announced that it will commence fresh drillings on the Jubilee fields from May this year. The move is expected to help improve crude oil production, which has been on the decline in recent times. There is more in the following report.
The disclosure was captured in Tullow Oil's January trading update and operational statement released by the firm just last week. The oil exploration firm is set to deploy one of the latest technology that will ensure the right data is gathered to aid exploration work on the Jubilee and Chenibuan-Nyirantumi oil fields. Tullow Oil believes this will go a long way to improve exploration and production of crude. These 2 wells, Tullow Oil experts, will come on stream from the 3rd quarter of this year. It also announced that there should be some planned shutdown of Jubilee fields for some maintenance works that will last for about 2 weeks in the first half of this year. Tallow Oil is, however, projecting that it should have little impact on the total production from the Jubilee fields for this year. The Group Chief Executive of Tallow Oil, in the same trading update report, added that following the resolution of the tax charge issues with the Ghana Revenue Authority, they are indeed set for an exciting year.
Sentuo Group has announced that preparations are underway for phase 2 of its $2 billion oil refinery, which will push the company's production to 5 million metric tons per year. The downstream petroleum sector players see realization of the project as means to help the country cut its dependence on imported refined products. Executive Chairman of Sentuo Group, speaking at the year's gala at Tema, says with the right business environment, he remains optimistic of the outlook for 2025. Kwame Yanka has more.
The Sentuo Group, since its arrival in Ghana in 2008 from China, has invested in some areas, such as steel manufacturing through Sentuo Steel, producing tiles and other products as Sentuo Ceramics. In 2024, its plans of becoming a player in the downstream petroleum sector materialized with the Sentuo Oil Refinery, which had an initial target of 2 million metric tons. But phase 2 of the project will help the company reach its 5 million metric tons mark. Shu Ning Kwan is the executive chairman of Sentuo Group.
2024年对深度石化意义重大，深度石化完成一期200万。
The refinery streamlines the entire petroleum refinery process, overcoming challenges and obtaining a unified standard, marking a year of progress. It's currently preparing for the second phase, striving to achieve its 5 million metric tons per year. Aside the refinery, our ceramics did quite well. Production increased by 17% year-on-year, and revenue grew by 24%. The ceramic products are also exported to 9 West African countries. Shu Ning Kwan believes the company will continue to play its role in Ghana's economy under President John Mahama.
Mahama 新政府的领导下，充满朝气和无限可能。我相信，只要我们上下。
Looking to 2025, we still have a long way to go. The new year under President John Dramani Mahama is brimming with hope and boundless possibilities. And I firmly believe, so long as we are united, we will surely achieve new economic heights together. Education Minister Haruna Idrisu, who was speaking on his behalf and in the stead of Trade and Finance Minister, says the government is pushing to increase foreign direct investment.
What he wants is to open up the country, create more opportunities to address the growing unemployment of our country. And I'm particularly happy to note and to extend an invitation on behalf of President John Dramani Mahama that under his 24-hour economy, any strategic investor who wants to invest to support the initiative in any of the 16 regions of Ghana will benefit from some strategic exemptions from President Mahama.
Meanwhile, Chief of Katamanso, Tache Nilai Yakwete X says seeds sown by these investor friends during his tenure as Greater Accra Regional Minister are yielding fruits.
When I visited China, when I was invited by the Chinese community to visit China, through my statement and my speech that I delivered in Fuzhou, most of their investors showed interest in coming to Ghana to come and invest. The former consortium, and that is what we are all enjoying today. There used to be only Sentuo Steel. Now we have Sentuo Ceramic and we have Sentuo Oil Refinery. There's going to be many things to happen. The facility you are seeing today, there is going to be an expansion. This is just the phase 1. We are going to have phase 2, which will expand the project and in a way increase employment in this country, and it will also enhance our economy.
A number of players in the energy sector and other stakeholders took part in the event. Sentuo Group says it's working towards UN 2030 goals for sustainable development. Kwame Yankees reports for Joy Business.
More on energy, the National Treasurer of the National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Kabute Caesar, has called on the government to put in all the strategies and funding to secure the power sector to ensure businesses function well. He is also advocating for the diversification of power sources by business owners. This, according to Mr. Kabute, will help boost the business sector, which in turn translates to a robust economy. He said this in an interview with Joy Business on the sidelines of a training workshop organized by the Chamber.
Training brought together 30 young entrepreneurs from the Upper East, Upper West and Northern region to be equipped with practical skills and knowledge in the green economy and circular economy. The two-day training was organized by the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, GNCCI. The initiative is part of the Green Growth Ghana project, a collaborative effort between the GNCCI, the Presbyterian University of Ghana, and the European Union delegation in Ghana. Speaking in an interview, the National Treasurer, Mr. Kabute Caesar, said it was about time business owners consider diversification in power supply because of cost.
We need to look at different sources of power supply, given what we do, to say that maybe for this activity I'll rely on ECG, for that other activity I may rely on a generating plant, and for the other I may rely on solar. All are based to technologies available, and sometimes the small scale or the micro scale business person cannot afford. So it's not an easy situation, but the fact is that as we are growing, we must be looking at what technologies are available.
He said even though the North is blessed with lots of resources, there are challenges that continue to hamper business owners from tapping into the vast government business programs available.
Organizations like GNCCI, Ghana Enterprises, agency, and that's on the side of the government, and a few more that need to understand the issues or the problems of our micro, small, and medium businesses, to be able to look at how can they innovate, what creativity can be used in the use of energy to ensure that they cut down their costs, but are still able, to meet their production targets.
Some of the business owners spoke to the media on benefits the training will have on their businesses.
The program is very interesting because the way we see it starting, it will help us to improve in our business, because we have learned something great from it, which I just saw that we learned something called cooperative. And in terms of business, when there's cooperative, you will be able to achieve your aim in exhibiting your business.
The program actually is going to help a lot, because even with the initial stage, I've been able to learn a lot, like the data analysis, business incubators, which will help me be able to incubate my business, how to maneuver to be able to produce more products for our customers.
Our sector government has announced the commencement of discussions with organized labor and employers to determine the minimum wage for 2025. This was captured in a statement issued from the presidency and signed by the spokesperson to the president, Felix Kwakye. Details in the following report.
The statement from the presidency also announced that government will move to commence discussions on the base pay for public sector workers as soon as that of the minimum wage is concluded. The base pay is the benchmark used in reviewing the salaries of public sector workers on the single spine salary structure. Government in 2023 increased the base pay by 23% to cover payment in 2024. Spokesperson to government Felix Kwakye appealed to the social partners to fast-track the negotiations to ensure that it is completed on time for their recommendations to be captured in the 2025 budget presentation. This is because these discussions should have been completed last year. The minimum wage currently stands at 18 cedis 15 pesos after it was increased from 14 cedis 88 pesos last year. But looking at the current state of the economy, one is not sure about whether the demands of workers can be met.
So let's have a full appreciation of these. And joining me in studio is my colleague, Winston Taki, who has been studying the numbers. So Winston, thanks so much for joining me on Business Live. So first off, tell me, what is the development when it comes to our base minimum wage, basically?
So it's interesting how the conversation is going, because it's a new government that is now putting its structures in order. So it appears Labour, who are more prominent, especially when it comes to discussion of payment, will certainly be vociferous going into the rest of the year.
That's fine.
So the minimum wage is critical to assess the base rate, and that call by the Communications Minister is critical to ensure the conversation goes on before the budget will be presented subsequently by the government.
Walk us through the numbers.
Yes. So as of now, in the provisional budget in 2024, government spent in terms of compensation 63.6 billion Ghana cedis in 2024, and it's projected to spend about 73.1 billion in 2025. And this is provisional figure, which is likely to go up in 2025 because the budget is still being adjusted, taking into consideration some revenue measures the government intends to bring into place. But one thing that experts are looking or touching on is government's proposal to cut down certain revenue basket, which we know e-levy and other taxes. And many have asked, how will government raise revenue? Compliance has been the key voice being made by the Finance Minister, Dr. Kesatu Forson. And many are asking that which compliance sectors is it going to be more strong about. Many have also proposed that it should prioritize property rates. But we are looking at certain capex transactions, or let's say expenditure plans that the government intends to cut. One thing the government intends to cut is teacher training allowances, which the Education Minister has been hitting on. And so far, we are 63,704 teacher trainees.
You mean 69,704?
Absolutely, yeah. And in that number, the projected budget of the amount of money that has consistently been spent on that particular allowances. In 2021, government spent 169 million Ghana cedis. 2023, 241 million Ghana cedis. And in 2024 as well, 246 million.
So you get a feeling that, each and every year, it keeps increasing. Is that not the case?
Absolutely. And however, when this is scrapped, because it appears government is spending on this amount, initially, subsequent government planned to cut down certain expenditure in traveling. We saw if a minister is living in country, they have to reduce how much is spent on traveling. The government also intends to cut down the number of ministers that will be getting in some ministries. All these, including the number of ministers that have been appointed so far, tells you government strategy in cutting down expenditure. But going on, it appears this year, 2025, government has projected in terms of capital expenditure about 333.5 billion Ghana cedis. And this is a projected figure which is likely to go up, considering certain projects that they have in their manifesto, which they are likely to roll out into the subsequent 2025. But we are looking at what element or how much or which area of expenditure, especially capital, will influence government decision going into an adjustment of minimum wage. And will that bracket be wide enough for government to generally make enough revenue in order to finance capital projects?
Yeah. So in any way, would this have some sort of implications? Mind you, we are under an IMF program, so we have to be careful with our projections, etc. Do you think that anything that goes beyond that may hurt the current economic situation we have?
Certainly, government is being cautious, because if you look at some of the assessment made by the IMF that we are in a very volatile state, any chance that we make, any decision that we make will have subsequent effects on where we want to go. So far, government is positioned to pay about $1.6 billion, especially on interest payment alone. So if you look at our interest payment every year going forward from now, about 29.3% of our revenue goes into interest payment, and it's likely to increase 31.5% going into 2026. So it appears we are stuck. However, there is a need to rationalize our expenditures while looking at our revenue measures. We have to look at how businesses can have the leverage to grow in as much as making revenue through taxing should be lenient and reasonable.
Grateful. Winston Taki, my colleague here at Joy Business, breaking it down for us. And of course, we shall monitor the space and bring you up to speed as to what figure has been arrived after the engagement with organized labor, etc. Still watching Business Live. We are pausing for a breather. We'll be right back with more. Please stay. Hello again, welcome to Business Live. In an effort to bridge data gaps in the agricultural sector, the Ghana Statistical Service has undertaken the Ghana Core Agriculture and Production Methods and Environmental Survey for the baseline assessment for the second phase of the Planting for Food and Jobs initiative. At a closing ceremony for the training of field officers for the survey held in Winneba, the project coordinator, Sentuo Group, explained that the project will enhance the agri sector's contribution to Ghana's GDP. There is more in this report.
At the closing ceremony of the training of field officers for the Ghana Core Agriculture and Production Methods and Environment Survey, the Deputy Government Statistician, Edward Isuafram, indicated that data gathered from the survey will aid policy making in the agri sector.
So we are going to send people to homes to collect information on agriculture. You see, in Ghana, one of the major activities we do is agriculture. We know that agriculture employs more people in Ghana than all the other sectors. So this information that we are going to collect is very, very important. It's going to help policy makers to know everything about agriculture in terms of the production, in terms of the people who work in agriculture, in terms of agriculture input, so that we can implement policies which will help our agriculture sector to grow.
Edward Isuafram also emphasized the quality of the survey and highlighted measures put in place to produce credible and authentic data.
We in Ghana Service specializes in data. And the data is useful for the government, for policymakers, entrepreneurs to plan. We don't sit in our office to get the data. All the data we get comes from people. So please, we are pleading on our households. We are pleading on families and institutions to cooperate with us and give us the necessary data that's going to help us to compare our agricultural statistics.
The project coordinator for the survey, Sentuo Group, explained that the survey is not only targeted at core agriculture, but also other environmental issues to ensure a more holistic survey.
So this undertaking will help us to bridge the data gaps and the information. If you look at as the name goes, core agriculture, production methods and environment. So apart from the core agriculture, which is our usual crops, livestock, forestry, fishing and aquaculture, there are other crop-related information, there are other livestock-related information, there are other environmental-related information in them to make it more holistic, to get more information. Because as you know, the scope of agriculture has been broadened a bit to cover the environment sector. And all this is also aimed at producing or to report on the SDG indicator. One of the indicators, that is the 2.4.1. It's all about sustainable agriculture.
More than 250 officers have been trained, with about 200 receiving certification to carry out the survey. From Winneba, Abigail Nkrumah Esel's reports for Joy Business.
Ghana Institute of Architecture is calling for policies to guide Ghana's architectural heritage. According to the president of the institute, Tony Yawasari, this is pertinent to addressing some challenges affecting Ghana's tourism sector. There is more in this report.
The public lecture led by Professor Jackson delved into critical areas on how to improve Ghana's heritage sites. The lecture was put together by the Center for Architecture and Art Heritage, Africa and the Ghana Institute of Architects, with support from the British Council, UNESCO, Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture. President of the Institute called for a collaborative effort to promote tourism.
I think the verdict is out there. I mean, the reason why, as Ghana Institute of Architects, we have decided today that we want to focus on architecture heritage is basically because we have done very poorly. We do not have policies that address how we preserve the architectural heritage. You know, we do not have policies that guides us when it comes to how buildings should be selected and listed. You know, what if a building, for instance, is listed and considered to be a heritage building? what do we do with it? What can you do with it? Can you just get up and demolish it? Can you get up and sell it? And to be able to make things a bit clearer, if we decide today that the land, the High Court or the Supreme Court building is old and that we want to build a more magnificent, so to speak, structure at the site of the Supreme Court, and we get up and we demolish it, would that be something that we want to do? Are we going to be able to tell the story 100 years from now?
For today, I am Pius Kojo Baka. We have more stories for you when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Grateful serving you.